All right, folks, today we're going to talk about hunt the good stuff. Hunt the good stuff. And I'm going to, in the next just few minutes, I hope, convince you why it is a no-brainer to spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes a day thinking about the everyday good stuff that happens to you. And it happens to all of us. All of us each day have some good stuff go on. And we're going to talk about the science that tells us that if you spend a handful of minutes a day noticing and thinking about those good things that happen to you, you're going to be more optimistic. You're going to have more gratitude. You're going to sleep better, all sorts of things. So I'm going to talk to you about why hunting the good stuff is something that each of us ought to do. That's where we're going. Now, if you open your binders, go ahead and circle optimism. Because optimism, as you know, is one of the core competencies that we're building with our MRT program. And hunting the good stuff, this simple activity that we're going to have you do every day that you're here with us, will build optimism. It also builds other positive emotions. It builds gratitude. Circle gratitude. This is an activity, an easy activity that cultivates the attitude of gratitude. I'm going to say that again. It cultivates the attitude of gratitude, and I'm going to convince you why cultivating the attitude of gratitude is such an important thing for us all to do. Okay, so let me just start by asking you a question. How many of you had a grandma or a grandpa or a pastor or one of your parents, somebody in your life when you were growing up, somebody say to you, you should count your blessings. You should pay attention to the good things you've done. Just a quick show of hands, right? All of us. So this is a case of science catching up with grandma. This is a case of where our grandmothers told us that we should pay attention to the good stuff. And all what we know now is that grandma was right. And all I want to do is go over that science with you. So this is a work of a group of psychologists, Martin Seligman, Robert Emmons, and what these psychologists have studied is the benefits of paying attention to the everyday good things that happen to each of us. And we'll talk about what I mean by the everyday good things in a minute. And this technique, this skill of noticing the good things that happen to you, it does a couple of different things. One, it counteracts the negativity bias. So we talked about the negativity bias before. Remember, the negativity bias is the tendency to spend more time thinking about, remembering, maybe calling, your battle buddy and talking about the bad stuff that happens. And when you're caught up in that negativity bias, and that happens to all of us, how do you feel when your mind, when your attention is being placed on the bad stuff that happens in your day?
Exhausted.
Exhausted. Absolutely. I mean, it's depleting. How else do you feel?
Just sick.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, like, if our mental energy, if our attention is being consumed by, and we're shining the light on the bad stuff that happens in the day, yeah, you might feel sick. Well, how else?
Irritated?
Irritated, sure, because if some of the things that you're thinking about, the negativity bias, is pulling you to think about how other people disappointed you or trespassed, yeah, you're going to get irritated. So by focusing exclusively, or most of our attention going to the negative, it's depleting. It can make you feel sick. It can be exhausting. It can make you angry. And so what we're going to talk about now is not pretending that bad things didn't happen, because bad things happen and we all know that. But we're going to make sure that we're using our attention, that we're making sure that we're in control of what we attend to, and that we're going to shine the light, shine the attention, our attention on the everyday good stuff that happens. And here's why I want you to do that. Because when you spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, this is a quick exercise. But when you spend a handful of minutes a day noticing the everyday good stuff that's happened, and by good stuff I mean you got a funny letter from home, or you had a really good meal, or you went out for PT and you felt really energized and you felt on top of your game, or you had a funny conversation as you were waiting around. That these everyday good things, if you make it your goal to hunt those down, to capture those everyday good things, here's the benefits. Number one, you'll have better health. People who make it a habit of noticing the good things that happen and thinking about it. We're going to talk about the details of this in a minute. But if you hunt down and capture the everyday good things and you think about it for a little bit, you're going to have better health. You're going to have better sleep. Why would you have better sleep? Why would you sleep more fully? Why would you fall asleep more quickly if what you're thinking about before you go to sleep at night is the good stuff? What do you think?
You obsess about the bad things.
Yeah. When you go to sleep at night and what's running around on your brain, what's going around and around and around in circles is the bad stuff that happened, the fight you had, the fact that you didn't get a letter home, the fact that you didn't feel good at PT, that when that's what you're thinking about, it drives anxiety, it drives irritation. When you're anxious and irritated, is it easy to fall asleep? No, of course not. So when you're thinking about the good stuff, it's easier to fall asleep. In fact, you'll notice on the slide, it says feeling calm. That when people make this a habit of noticing the everyday good things that happen and thinking a little bit about it, you feel more calm. And by feeling more calm, you're more likely to be able to drift off to sleep. And certainly one of the things I've heard from our troops a lot in these last couple of years is that if you only are going to get 4 or 5 hours a night of sleep when you're downrange, you don't want to waste a second of that precious 4 hours of sleep because you're ruminating and thinking about the bad stuff. That's going to make it harder for you to have those full 4 hours. And so the fact that hunting the good stuff, thinking about the good stuff, helps you to fall asleep more easily, that's priceless. I mean, that's gold right there. That's so important for our troops. We also know that people who make this a habit, not just one day notice the good things, but they make it a habit of noticing and thinking about the good stuff, that they report greater happiness and less depression. In fact, a study that was done showed that after about a month of doing this, a month of noticing the good stuff that's happened and thinking about it for a little bit of time, that those people who did it for about a month, they reported that they felt happier, they were more satisfied with their life, they had fewer symptoms of depression. And when we checked in on them, when the researchers checked in on those people 3 months later, 6 months later, they still were happier and had fewer symptoms of depression. So this is a no-brainer. It's quick, it's easy, and it leads to meaningful, measurable changes. So greater happiness, less depression, better performance, particularly in cognitive performance. So if you need to be able to think about something, if your thinking is really going to matter and you need to be able to think about things creatively, then this activity of noticing the good stuff has been shown to lead to better cognitive functioning and better relationships. Better relationships, how would that be? How would it be that if I take 5 minutes a day to pay attention to the good stuff, why are my relationships going to be enhanced?
Because I think people want to be around positive people. So positive can be very infectious, and people want to be around positive people.
If you're positive, you're infectious. It's a good kind of contagion, that people want to be around people who are upbeat. People also want to be around people who say thanks. And so if you're noticing the everyday good stuff, and some of that everyday good stuff is that other people have done something to help you, that you've benefited through the actions of someone else, and you just say to that person, hey, I want to thank you for that. That's going to strengthen the relationship because you've expressed praise or gratitude to someone else. So look, all of these things, better health, better sleep, feeling calm, better performance, stronger relationships, these are things that matter in our lives, in our troops' lives. And the pathway there is not complicated. So let's think about how do you do, these are the outcomes, but how do you get there? What is it about hunting the good stuff that matters? So let's take a look at exactly what it is I'm going to ask you to do. So I'm going to ask you to each night before you go to sleep to write down 3 good things that have happened in that day. And let's just, it's not night now, but let's just do it. Let's just get a few of good things that have already happened to you today. So who's got an example of a good thing that's already happened today? Yeah.
A friend bought me a cup of coffee this morning from Starbucks.
That's a good stuff. So someone buys you a cup of coffee. That's an everyday good stuff. Great. Give me another one. What's another good stuff that's happened to someone today? Yeah.
I was able to have breakfast with my son this morning.
Having breakfast with your son before school, that's a good stuff. Give me one more. One more. Yeah.
I got to work out this morning. It was the first time in a week.
Got to work out this morning, first time in a week. So this is the everyday good stuff, right? People weren't talking about promotions, although those would count too. You were naming the everyday good things that happen to all of us. And so that's what the skill is. It's at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, taking 5 minutes to write down 3 good things, everyday good things that have happened. That's step 1. Step 2 is to write a sentence or 2 about why that good thing happened, what you learned from that good thing, how maybe you could make sure to have more of that good thing tomorrow. So that second piece, we call that the reflection. It's not just capturing, hunting and capturing the good thing, it's also reflecting on it. That second piece of reflecting on it is critical. It's critical in the effectiveness of hunt the good stuff. So let me ask you why. Why do you think it's important that you not only list the good thing, but also reflect on it, write a sentence or 2 about it? Lieutenant Gordon.
It gives meaning to why it was important.
Great. It gives meaning to why it was important to you. Absolutely. It makes it go deep. That reflection, that extra minute of attention that you spend by thinking about why this good thing happened, what it means to me, what I can learn from it, that makes it go deep. Because let's be honest, the bad stuff, it hunts us down. You can rest assured that the bad stuff will find you laying in your bed at night and will make it so that you ruminate about it, think about it. The bad stuff goes deep. So if we want to counteract that negativity bias, we got to go deep with the good stuff. And that just requires an extra minute of thinking about it. So 3 good things, what it means to you, what you learn from it, how you can maybe get more of that good thing tomorrow. That's the exercise of hunt the good stuff. This isn't rocket surgery. I mean, that's the beauty of this. This is an easy skill to do. And by doing it, better sleep, better relationships, increased cognitive functioning, increased energy. In fact, in some studies, people reported fewer symptoms of illness when they made this an attitude of gratitude, when they cultivated an attitude of gratitude. All right, so let me ask you if you have any questions before we complete. Yeah, Sergeant Ballard.
How often do you have to do this for it to become effective?
Great. So here's what I can tell you for certain. If you do it once, all bets are off. So this has to become a positive habit. Some research says doing it 3 times a week. Some research says doing it every day. But you definitely have to do it. It has to become part of your routine. So whether that's 3 times a week, 5 times a week, every day, play around with it. But it has to be something that you do repeatedly for it to work. Because remember, what we're doing here is it's nothing magic. We're cultivating an attitude of gratitude. We're cultivating optimism, and that you got to grow it. That takes a little time. Other questions? Yeah.
So, what if you're just having a really crappy day?
Yeah.
And I mean, how good do your good things have to be?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. There's all sorts of things that happen in our lives, or think about troops that are downrange and there's a lot of complex and difficult things going on. What we're talking about aren't major good things. I mean, all that we mean when we talk about hunt the good stuff is something positive that happened, and that might mean for one of us, I woke up this morning. So that's going on my hunt the good stuff. I woke up this morning, or I got to have a call with my son over Skype. So they don't have to be major positive events. I mean, those count too, but we're talking here about the everyday stuff, a funny joke that you heard, going on a run, anything that brought a little bit of positive emotion. You're going to hunt that down, capture it, and think about it. Great question. Lieutenant Gordon.
Hunting the good stuff is a great idea, but there's some bad things that do happen. There's some negatives. So if we focus on the positive, it's not being a Pollyanna.
Absolutely. So let's be real here. We're not talking about walking through your life only seeing the positive. Okay, I see you, and ignoring all the negative. I mean, that would be dangerous, right? I mean, it would be dangerous not to notice problems, not to notice negative things that have occurred. So we're not talking about denying the bad. We're just talking about balancing it out a bit. We know through evolution and all sorts of factors that we're going to do a pretty good job of spotting the problems. We're going to do a pretty good job of spotting the issues that need our attention, the concerns, the difficulties, the setbacks. And we're just trying to level the playing field here and say, all right, we're going to spend some of our mental energy on those things. We're going to make sure we're also spending some of our mental energy on the positive. Because by thinking about the good stuff, it builds optimism, cultivates gratitude, all those benefits we talked about, better sleep, better performance, better relationships. So it's not about denying the bad, it's about leveling the playing field, making sure some of your attention goes to the good as well. Great question. Who else? Yeah.
Why is it that you have to do the reflection part of this?
Okay, yeah. So why the reflection, right? I mean, this doesn't take a long time to do this. I mean, even with the reflection, it's probably, we're talking about 5 minutes here, 5-6 minutes. So why the reflection? I mean, we can make this an even quicker skill if you just have to spot the good stuff. The reflection's important because it's the reflection that makes sure it goes deep, that it lodges, that it's not just I noticed the good thing and captured it, but I'm going to make sure I think about it, I reflect on it. I'm going to make sure that I get all the goodness out of that everyday positive experience. And that's probably even more important for our troops when a lot of the things you have to confront are negative, are difficult, are treacherous. And so if there's a simple good thing that happened in your day, let's make sure that we're deriving every bit of value we can out of those good things. So the reflection is what makes it go deep. What makes it stick. Good. Yeah.
Doesn't this come easier to some people than others?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So some of you, when you start doing this, you're going to think, well, this is redundant. I mean, I notice the good stuff all the time. That's just who I am. And that's probably true for some of you. For some of you in this room, you have gratitude as probably one of your top character strengths. You don't need to write it down because you live and breathe it. You walk through the world every day thinking about and noticing and reflecting on and thanking people for the good stuff. So absolutely it will come easier to those people. But using myself as a case in point, gratitude was not a strength of mine. I might notice some of them, but I certainly missed a lot of the good stuff. And when I saw something positive, I kind of pushed it off to the side. I didn't spend time reflecting on it. And so for people for whom noticing the good doesn't come easily, this takes more work. But what we know is that this isn't a hard skill. It requires effort in the sense that you have to make a commitment to do it. If you do it once, no changes. But if you make a commitment to put your attention on the positive, it becomes a positive habit that'll take a little while to take hold for some people, but you'll still get those benefits, even if it's a harder win for you than for someone else. Any other questions? All right, so then just a quick summary. starting today, you're going to notice at least 3 good things that happened. And remember, good things can mean a good meal, a funny joke, big things too, birth of a child, promotion, but the everyday good stuff is what we're focused on. And you're going to write a sentence about what it meant to you, what you learned from it, why that good thing happened, how you might get more of that good thing tomorrow. And by doing that as a habit, making that a habit, research shows greater happiness, greater life satisfaction, stronger relationships, better performance, cognitive functioning, more energized, better sleep. I mean, good stuff here. Less depression. So we're going to start each day with you sharing with each other what your good stuffs are and your reflections on that. Thank you.